Well, guys, welcome back. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to adjust this tripod at some point. Maybe I'll just move you guys back. No, that didn't help at all. There we go. Okay. Welcome back. This screen's probably going to be blurred out because I'm going to be looking at certain things that you can't know about or see. Great. Matter of fact, I don't want you to see the keys either, you sneaky devils. I'm going to put you back here. And then we're going to fix this because we don't need any crotch shots. Alright. Alright, so what's today about? So today, today's about adventures with purpose. I know there's a lot of videos going out there currently about them. And there's a lot of things people don't know that I have known for a long time. I followed them pretty much from the start of their inception. They used to be known as, I believe it was Mr. Jared Lysick was how the channel was originally called, which then developed into Adventures with Purpose about 2018. I followed them, because I was actually following a case, which is Natalie Jones. You guys can look it up. Somewhere down there, there's a comment from me basically saying, hey, I was about to go out there and conduct a search the day prior. I need to put that down if I'm talking to you guys. But this basically to search the day prior on this this road specifically to look for her. Me being a former state trooper, and having this special set of skills, I really knew where I wanted to look, where I needed to look. So that for me was extremely important, to be able to find this person and bring some closure to this family. But around that time, there have been things, I want to say around that time, but from that point on, there have been things said about like private investigators and things that I didn't appreciate, because this is what I do for a living, and it's actually what I've done for a long time, yes, I was in law enforcement, I was military, and then, of course, I moved into being a private investigator where I own my own agency, and I work missing person cases myself, and a lot of times, I'll see comments, people like, hey, stop messing around, call Adventures with Purpose. So let's just start there. Adventures with Purpose is an underwater dive team. It's an underwater, you call it a search and rescue team, but it's basically an underwater recovery dive team. It says so on the side of the trailers. If you look at them in all the episodes. I knew something was off for a long time, and that's just me being me. I'm very detailed. I look into things. And the thing that stuck out to me the most was comments made towards private investigators. So was I a little upset? Absolutely. I don't need to lie about it and try to be humble like some of these people. I was angry, because someone like me, I'm being called a fraud. I'm being called, a cheat, where I steal people's money. I don't. Actually, a lot of times, in certain situations, which I've heard them say, that basically they hired this private investigator and they just didn't help them, they stole their money. Well, probably they did help them. They did exactly what was in the contract, and they didn't like the answers. That's typically how this goes in our business. You don't like the answers, so you go off and say we didn't do our job. Well, it's in the contract, it's very clear what we did, and you're always going to get a report because we have licenses and rules and procedures, laws that we have to follow. Okay, so yeah, that's not, I don't believe that at all. There's a 90-10%. And what I mean is there's 90% that everybody's doing it right, 10% that they're doing it wrong. And the 10% will be caught. They always will. There will be complaints that will be made that can be publicly filed. And trust me, even myself, I will file public complaints against people who are unlicensed because it does damage and harm to our reputation and our practice. But Adventures with Purpose is an underwater recovery dive team. Originally, he started out just looking for things, like all the trends go. A lot of people jump on trends and bandwagons. Like a lot of these people have been shooting out over the past 3 days after Jared Lysick came under charges for sexual assault, possibly rape of someone, under the age of 14 on both counts, which was 2. Everything's alleged until it's proven, and I'm not taking one side or the other. That's my job, right? I base everything I find off of evidence. If there's no evidence that someone did something, then they're going to be innocent. If there is evidence that they did something that piles up to say, yes, there's proof beyond a reasonable doubt that you did this, then you're guilty, right? But we have to have evidence to prove that, not bandwagon slander and libels, throwing things out there that aren't even true without showing me anything. Just because a piece of paper is laid down on the ground doesn't mean someone actually did it. Now, there have been rumors of emails. I've read bits and pieces, but I've never seen any replies actually from Jared Lysick himself. So that can be easily misconstrued or be deceptive in itself. Like I said, I'm not saying someone's lying, but you got to be really careful looking into things, not just jump on the bandwagon with other people. So, they're an underwater recovery dive team. And a lot of people will say, I guess I'll come full circle. Let me start there because I'm not run by a script or anything. They said some things about us, called us cheats. I got upset. So I did my investigation because there's other things that lined up during that time frame when it occurred that something was wrong. So I did my own investigation into him. And the things I found, I thought that the team knew of. So I didn't, to be honest, I didn't say anything. I have reached out to some of the people there to hire them. Well, I wouldn't say hire, they'd be doing it for free. And the only money you get is from YouTube. But there's no restrictions, there's no whatever, hey, you're free to put whatever videos out there, whatever, but I would love for people to ride along with us while we do our cases with that type of talent to be able to show you guys what we do in the day of the life of a private investigator. And you actually would probably find it very interesting. Most people do, because it's like, 48 hours, stuff like that. And people love it, that's cool. But a lot of things have to be edited, and I don't have necessarily that skill set to be able to edit certain things out. Now, with that being said, I thought the team members knew, so I didn't say anything about it. And I specifically thought Doug knew, because Doug and Jared were like this. Okay, from the outside perspective, absolutely. And I do believe in this case that Doug and Jared were like this because of, watching Doug's video on him being basically heartbroken. I don't even say heartbroken, but very, very upset. Most of all the other people being upset, fathers and stuff. I already knew what happened before, someone put it out because I could read people. That's what I do for a living, interviewing hundreds of thousands of people and basically saying, oh, yep, some sort of sexual assault or alleged sexual assault occurred based upon certain wordings or body language. There's just certain things that gave it away. There's just different indicators. But there were certain things I guess they did not know about Jared Lysick. Like, one of the things they brought up is I didn't know he had a second house. I've been known he had a second house. Boy, I thought y'all knew. But I will say this, to find that second house, he's slick. He's a very smart guy. But he basically hid his other house and a lot of different things in a lot of different ways. I don't want to get too detailed with it because I'm not out there for people finding him and harassing him. That's not what I'm for. But I'll say that it was very difficult to find. And honestly, if you didn't know what it looked like I did, 99.9% of people would have never found this. Not even like internet sleuths and all, you would have never found it. Because there's a different way you had to find it. Completely legal, but there's a different way. No special databases, nothing like that. But I had to do a lot of legwork to figure out that this guy had a second house. And when I saw the house, which I think was about like $400,000, it threw me off. It threw me off. It was like a mansion on a brand new development area. It was crazy to me. I said, you have this house, which is a small house, which you guys have seen in the clips, especially when he did the introduction of the twins, the 2 trailers. That's the house he shows you. But he doesn't show you the multi-million-dollar house that he has in the land at all. Which also makes me concerned because I'm like, I wonder if the team didn't know, how much were you stealing from them to gain for yourself? Which is also a concern, right? Because he has hundreds of thousands of dollars in money for defense attorneys compared to the alleged victims in this case. But a lot of people will say, hey, call Adventures with a Purpose, stop fooling around. Okay, so I get a lot of calls. And I personally, right now, have about 4 or 5 different cases, missing person cases, that, and I will not say their names because obviously this is confidential and I'm, currently working on it. If they feel like disclosing it, that's absolutely up to them. I don't like to be in the limelight. I don't like to be named. But there are cases, other than the one I've told you, right? I did work on that up until she was found, So, but and that was me by myself. I was not hired by the family, obviously at that time. So that was me by myself doing an investigation to hopefully find this person to bring closure. But I have a lot of people that I talked to, like, yeah, we reached out to Adventures with Purpose, and they told us they couldn't do it because there wasn't a vehicle. It actually has nothing to do with whether there's a vehicle or not. It actually has to do with whether they're properly licensed or not. I'm just going to read you the excerpt from my state, which I'm in Georgia. Everybody knows that. You go to my website, it's there. So I can't really hide from you guys. Don't be showing up my house or anything. I don't do that. But I'm going to read you guys what I got. All right. And basically what I'm reading to you is the OCGA, which is the official Code of Georgia annotated description of private investigator and private detectives, what we are allowed to do, what we're supposed to do. A lot of people don't know this, which I think really interferes with their knowledge, just why these people that do this, no offense to anybody that's a team member that has their own channels, they're not supposed to be doing a lot of things and you could go to jail for it. So this is actually the official Code of Georgia annotated Title 43, which is Professions and Businesses, Chapter 38, Operators of Private Detective Businesses and Private Security Businesses. In 43-38-3, it's the definition section. So in subsection 3 of that, it says private detective business means the business of obtaining or furnishing or accepting employment to obtain or to furnish information with a reference to A, crimes or wrongs done or threatened against the United States of America or any state or territory thereof. B, the background, identity, habits, conduct, business, employment, occupation, assets, honesty, integrity, credibility, knowledge, trustworthiness, efficiency, loyalty, activity, movement, whereabouts, affiliations, associations, transactions, acts, reputation, or character of any person. C, the location, disposition, or recovery of lost or stolen property. D, the cause or responsibility for fires, libels, losses, accidents, damage, or injury to persons or property. E, the securing of evidence in the course of the private detective business to be used before any court, board, officer, or investigating committee. Or F, the protection of individuals from serious bodily harm or death. So with that being said, and I originally started in Florida, and you do little web schools out there. You can look it up. You can find my stuff out. It's public. You can verify it. I'm the real deal. Even Florida's was more in depth than this. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is you cannot do anything without a license. What I just read to you, all that big long paragraph, clearly states that you can't talk about anything. You can't have these channels where you get your story, and you can't do that. And then, you can't go back and forth between I'm a diving channel to a news channel to this. You can't do that. That's not how it works. You got to choose one or the other. Okay? Especially in a court of law. Most of the time they're going to see it that way. But my point is when my beef with these channels is it takes away from my business. It takes away from what I am allowed to do by law. What I have worked hard to do, to become licensed to do, which you are doing unlicensed, and you're not allowed to do. It's not your job. A search and recovery team, period, no matter what type, whether it be underwater recovery dive team, whether it be a search and rescue team with a dog, like a cadaver dog, whether it just be people, your sole purpose is to go to a specified location and search it. That is it. You're not there to investigate it, like you say, investigates whatever. You're not there to gather. I mean, to understand a background of the story, you really don't need it. Your job is not to do that. Your job is to search. That is your job. I'm not saying what they didn't do was good. I'm not saying that every other team member with their own channels what they're doing isn't good. I'm just saying that you just got to be careful, okay? You got to be careful. And especially because what you're doing damages my reputation, and it also skews the public image of what you can and cannot do, okay, without a license. With or without a license, excuse me. And what you guys are doing is completely and utterly without a license. Searching for these people, clearly investigating, because what did it say? It said activity, movement, whereabouts, affiliations, association. Literally anything you could claim to do is covered underneath there. So you can't be doing anything, period. The only thing you can do is talk to them and say, what do you think he's at, she's at, it's at, and go search that location. That's all you can do. Now, to understand a little bit more, yes, you can get back and say, what am I looking for? I'm looking for, a red Chevy with Georgia license plate OCGA 4310. Cool. Now, I just made that license plate up. No, that's not a real license plate. But that's my point. With that being said, it was already fishy enough. I didn't like him because of that reason. I got upset. I did appreciate what they were doing, but I got upset. And then, the name calling, the libel started coming in where they're saying we're cheapos, we don't do anything, especially because, I started out in Florida, and Florida is very strict on what we do. And dude, anybody can make a complaint and they take it very seriously. I knew the officers personally who investigated those. They take it very seriously. I promise you don't get cheated. Most of the time it's just a misunderstanding, or it's the common reality that we have. I wouldn't say it's a misunderstanding, I take that back. It's like a 0.1% that it's a misunderstanding. But before that, you always sign a contract, either verbal or written, and I always do written, that you understand what we're doing here. So there's no mistake about it. A lot of times, almost all the time, it's because the client doesn't like what we find, and so then they, in turn, say we didn't do our job or we stole their money or yada, 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 yada. It is what it is. We're not going to go over a person sue in court when you were a one-time person. You became whatever. But anyways, so I get back to the topic. I just want to give you a little bit of background there. I get a lot of calls and people will say that, well, we tried, AWP, and they said because there's no vehicle. They had nothing to do with the vehicle. It has to do with what the scope of, basically the scope of their jurisdiction, what they can do. And they cannot do that. That's not part of their scope. They're not licensed to do it. To get a little bit of background, and follow a lead, say, yeah, it's a truck with this plate, and we think he might be here. Okay, but to be going from pond to pond to pond, that's not, Now, if you're searching a pond and you're finding treasure and you run across it, that's a whole other thing. But what you are doing is investigating, 100%, and it's unlicensed activity, and you have to be licensed in every state he's gone to, which he hasn't. And I think that's why sometimes even law enforcement has a problem with it, because you're not licensed to it. I mean, dude, I even have horrible interactions with law enforcement on the daily. I've only had a handful, literally like three interactions out of a lot of law enforcement agencies here that have been a good interaction. But I'll get a lot of these, and recently I have a case personally that I'm working, and that's what someone said. We reached out to them and we just, we didn't get any help, and I explained it. I had to explain to them, and they didn't know that. And I had to explain, that's not the reality. Like, they can't do that. This is why they couldn't help you. It's not because there wasn't a vehicle involved. Really, it's because there wasn't a body of water involved, because they're underwater recovery dive team. And besides the water, they can only search specific places that you tell them. So anyways, there's that. So I know that the team, now we got that out of the way. We know kind of like the basis of what they can and can't do. But, there's probably a couple months ago he put out an episode where he said, and this isn't the first time he said it, and he knows it, that he said there are private investigators out there that, have done those things. I'm not one of those people, and the same people that you've worked with or have tried to work with you have reached out to me. That I can verify, but I can say, yes, that has happened. I don't charge those people. I charge them nothing. I don't steal their money. What I charge them is $0 up into the amount that I find information that leads to the recovery of this person, or whatever occurred, whether it be death or harm, or I don't want to say death or harm. It doesn't sound very professional, but basically, if I find the person, whether they're alive or deceased, I get all the reward money that's posted. If obviously, there's some sort of foul play or murder that's suspected, and I find information that leads to the arrest and conviction of them, I get all that money as well. But up until that point, I get nothing. And all that money is clearly used, and it says in my contracts with each person, that's used to recover, the time spent. Okay, because, my typical hourly wage that someone has to pay is like $150 an hour, depending on what we're doing. And that can easily rack up. So people will say, oh, you're stealing it up. No, they're paying for my expertise. You're not paying for a product. You're paying for a service. You're paying for my expertise specifically. Like when you go to a lawyer and they charge $200, $350 an hour, I'm charging you way less than them, number one. Number two, you're getting their expertise. That's what you're charging them for, right? And that's the same that applies with me. Most people couldn't afford that, especially if they're individuals. If they're groups, they can typically afford that, right? But that's what I do. I don't charge them anything. I just want to set the record straight, They only get charged if I find anything that leads them to them. Like, I get nothing. Even if I find, like, say I'm on the case and somebody else gets something that leads them to them, I don't get any of the money. I only get what's left over. If I had a good lead that led to the discovery of this person, alive or deceased, or to the arrest and conviction of a person. With that being said, let's get off that topic real quick. There's just a lot of info here. But the bottom line is, the team didn't know about his extracurricular activities. They didn't know about his house that was hidden in so many different ways. I mean, it was really hard. Like, a lot of the things I've worked out was probably like 8 out of 10. I had to do a lot of digging to figure out where this was at. And it may be more accessible now, but back then it was very difficult when I first tried to find this. Like, it was well hidden, very well hidden. And I'm not going to say it because I don't want, like I said, I don't want people to harass him. But, I'm sorry that these guys that worked with him had this experience, and it was just, that's unacceptable. I agree. I myself, like Doug said, he's a victim, he's a survivor, I'm assuming of sexual assault. Me myself, I'm a victim, I'm a survivor, so I completely understand where you're coming from. And I get it. Most people will never know that about me. I mean, there's been so many speculations about a lot of things in my life. Well, a lot of that has to deal with that, and that's just personal to me. But I can really help people in that way because I understand what we're looking for. That's a specialization of mine. Sex crimes is a specialization that I specialize in, that I don't charge anything for, period. Maybe I'll ask for restitution at the end from the state, but I'm never going to charge someone. Why would I, and in my head, the way I think about it is, why would I charge someone for their pain? And basically, you've got hurt, someone took something from you that can be restored. You can get it back. I can say that myself wholeheartedly. But why would I make you suffer even more? You've already suffered enough. Why would I make you suffer even more by taking your bankroll? I'm not doing that. So don't think that private investigators, what you hear out there, don't have a heart. We do. We're limited on money, though, and we're limited on capacity. A lot of us, like me, we are one-man bands. It's me, myself, and I, and I'm having to do that work. That's a lot of legwork for me to do and a lot of money that I'm losing. If it's $150 an hour, could you just imagine how much I'm losing in 8 hours? Could you imagine how much I'm losing if I did a whole week's worth on just one case? If I had 4 or 5 or 6 cases, I've lost I've lost like 20 grand, easily 20 grand, easily 40 grand. So you guys got to really think about that. That's an unfair point of view if you really don't understand how things work. I mean, but anyways, we have tons of licenses and tax licenses, occupational licenses that we're required to have, depending on state, but almost always you're going to have a license. There's like a handful of states where you don't. Like literally, maybe like I know of one specifically, I know 2 or 3 that don't allow them at all. And I only know that one specifically because I've worked there on a case. Actually, multiple cases. I won't say one case. Many, many cases, actually. And I hate that place. I'm not going to say what it is, but you don't have to have a license to work there. But my point is, of why I'm talking about this is because their team didn't know, and if the team didn't know, I'm just curious about what else you didn't know. I know that this is going to be black or blurred out. By the way, I can't show you everything. Yeah, I'm gonna have to blur that out, or just turn it so you guys can't. No, I don't know. I'm gonna have to blur it out. Anyways, so what I'm doing right now is looking his information up. Okay, so to explain, how I got this was much more complicated than what it looks. I know now because I know where to look to get it, because I know where it was hidden. But the house that they're referring to, which I stand corrected, is not $400,000, but it's almost $500,000. And they didn't know about it. So you guys probably got robbed, and you should probably, just saying. I'm not going to say exact amount because it's just going to, can't do it, not going to do it, it's not going to happen. You aren't going to find this guy. I'm not going to help you find him. That's just wrong. So one of them is $500,000, and the other property, right, because he has 2 properties, that is that one. So that one, excuse me, this is the one that I found, which is the hidden one. That one is over $1 million. That's right, over $1 million home. It's sad that they didn't know this at the time, but it's a flipping mansion, man. It's sad, and I knew they didn't know. I mean, they've tried to flip things around now and change it, but basically. I'm having to go through, there we go. Bear with me. So, yeah, so basically I figured this out when they purchased the property, which was this year, a couple months ago. But that guy's a millionaire, dude. He's got plenty of freaking money. So, my is you don't know people like you think you do, and I'm glad, and I really hope that the members of the team who watch this video understand, like, you've been getting robbed blind. Like, when he goes out there and says, oh, we need help, it's all a ploy, and I knew this, and I didn't speak on it because I thought the team was aware of it. Oh, we need help, we can do this. No, actually what he's doing is he's using you as a community to get free services so he doesn't have to pay anything out of his pocket, so he can keep racking up money and making more money, and then giving his employees barely anything. Which I'm assuming, I could be completely wrong, Doug and them could get paid $70,000 a year. I don't think that's the case. I'm just saying. I think it's really messed up. Like, I would never do that to any of my employees or contractors. Like, I can tell you right now, when I first started, it was $75 an hour, and we split that. I get paid $40, you get paid $35. That's how it worked. Like, I make $5 more than you, but at the end of the day, you're making good money, and I'm not making like an exorbitant amount over you. But either way, I'm just saying, like, this is really messed up. It's unacceptable behavior, and I'm so sorry that you guys didn't know that. But hopefully we've talked about this a little bit. Maybe this is giving you a little bit more information on who AWP is, what AWP does, AWP being Adventures with Purpose, and understanding that they cannot help at everything, and they're not supposed to be helping everything. You need to call a licensed professional to hire, okay? These things are important. You guys can always call me, brownprivateinvestigations.com, brownprivateinvestigations@gmail.com. You guys can even call my business phone number, which is listed on my website at brownprivateinvestigations.com. If you guys have a question, you can always call my phone number, and that, of course, is 404-852-3568. And this phone's on, well, pretty much, I would say 24/6, not 24/7. You know, basically Monday through Saturday, this is open 24/7 on those days only, or 24/6. You know, 24 hours a day for those 6 days. You know, we don't really work on Sundays. But you guys can always call, have questions. You know, you want to know more things? Hire me. I'll do it. It's fine. But I want you to have more faith in us, okay? I want you to know that we are out there. We are looking for your best interest, the public's interest, the public's safety. And don't think that we're frauds. You know, don't think that, oh, we didn't know. You know, we didn't know this, we didn't know that. Like, there's a lot of legwork I had to do. Like, I was able to do that in a second. But I probably spent a good 4 hours before I was able to uncover where that property was at. You know? Literally having nothing. You know, because he hid his tracks really, really well where he was hidden. Okay, so it took a lot to figure that out. But just be conscientious. Like, don't always believe everything you see and you hear. Verify, okay? But look, you guys can hire us to do anything. You want us to look into somebody, you can hire you. You have to hire us. I can't guarantee that every person I'll be able to do. The more cases I get, the more people I'm gonna have to start charging. And right now I'm at a maximum. So anyone I take over, I'm gonna have to charge. I'm gonna be honest. But we can always talk about that and work something out for the individual versus the company. I mean, there's things that we can do. We can try. Okay. Don't let your hopes get down. But just know that I'm sorry that the team didn't know. I am glad that I was able to inform you on what they are allowed to do versus what they are not allowed to do. And if you're a team member and you're watching this, please take note, okay, about what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. And please abide by that, okay? Because you're taking away from my business, which I've worked very hard to do. And the last thing I want to do is report somebody. No, that's not a threat. I'm saying, like, other people like me, we have a responsibility to report people who are doing or committing unlicensed activity, which is a crime, okay, for not only you get penalized, but you can go to jail, depending on the circumstances, okay? You just got to be careful, you know? In no way, shape, or form am I attacking someone. I just want everyone to be properly and appropriately informed. Just, when you do that, stay searching, okay? Search if you're told to search somewhere, but don't investigate, okay? That's not your job to investigate. And I can guarantee I can look it up in every state that you've been in, because I know licensed investigators in every state you've been to. Okay, I'll tell you that because I have a great network of people and you're doing unlicensed activities. Okay? You need to cease those activities. You need to stop. Okay? You need to stay in your lane of what you are allowed to do. Okay? Gathering background, that's fine. Okay? But jumping around and saying, we're going to search this place or this place, and we think he's been going here, and we're talking to locals, that's, okay, now you're jumping outside of what you're allowed to be doing. Okay, that now falls under that. And I read that to you, so that's not me being any type of subjective way towards you, regardless of how I feel, because I take the bias out of it. I read it to you what the law says, at least in my area, which is almost exactly the same in wording to other areas. And I mean very, very, like maybe a different way of it's worded, but it's the same, pretty much. Sometimes they conglomerate it and just put an umbrella over it, and sometimes they don't. They want everything to be specifically put out, like in my state. They specifically this. They want you to know, okay? So just please help yourself. Help me help you to do the right thing. Help me help you to be safe and to not have your channel affected by it or your business and what you do. At the end of the day, I would love for people to come to people like me and support my channel and to support what I do, okay? But I can't do that because you guys are getting them, and then you're leading them down a path, all you viewers out there that are viewing this, they're leading you down a path of misinterpretation of the law and what you're actually allowed to do. They're completely misguiding you on what is allowable. And this is what I'm coming back to saying before I kind of sign off here and get off. This is what I deal with when people call me. There is a misconception of what they're allowed to do. And they're like, oh, they couldn't help me, or they just... and then I'm left to pick up the pieces of what you've misconstrued, and you have no idea what you're talking about. It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating. Because then I have to reinform them and bring up the law, because they don't believe me. They're so committed to you that they're like, oh, this is... I'm like, no, that's not how it works. It's not how it works. So by all means, this was not an attack. This is just an informative session. I know it seems like I only gave out one thing. Oh, he just told us about like his house. Yeah, the only reason I'm doing that, and the screen's going to be blurred out, so probably by this time everything will be blurred and you can't see it. It's important to me that nobody gets harmed, nobody gets attacked. I'm not going to tell you where he lives, how he lives. I'm just going to tell you, hey, simply, this is how much his home cost. I'll let you do the rest, okay? Like, that's left for you to think about. Now, with more things that have come to light, it might be easier for you to, find more information on him. But before, did a really good job at hiding a lot of different things. So, just be aware of that. Please be conscious, no matter what your feelings are towards someone, to be completely unbiased. Okay, that's what our job is. Our job is to do the research. Our job is to do what these internet sleuths do, which is illegal. Our job is to be there in harm's way, not yours. Our job is to take care of that for you, okay, in a legal capacity. Because the more you do, right, there is that last little bit that said securing evidence. What you do does not secure evidence. What we do does secure evidence that can be used legally in a court of law, okay? Which makes the difference of whether someone gets convicted or not, someone gets arrested or not. Okay, it's extremely important. So just think about that next time. Before you guys start bashing on private investigators and you really don't know everything about them, or maybe you have had one or two bad experiences. Not everyone is the same way, and we should know this, right? Not everybody, not everyone is like that one person that you met. Every job, every position I've ever had, including law enforcement, has bad apples, and one bad apple can ruin the whole bunch. Okay. That's just how it is. I don't need to go in more detail on that, but look, just please be careful what you're saying. Please think through what you're doing, and please help me in my business. Call me. I would love to hear your story. I would love to help you out if I can. And if I can help you, I would love you to direct you or refer you to someone who can help you. But I can't do that if you don't call me. Okay? So hit up my phone, hit up my email, go to our website, see what we do. And just because it's not listed there doesn't mean that we don't do it. It's just probably that I didn't feel like listing it. There's a million things that we do. And the answer to your question is, if you call me and you say, do you do this? My answer is yes. Yes, I do. Because I do it all. Okay? And if I don't, I can refer you to someone who does. But I pretty much do everything. That's what PIs do. Private investigators. Take that with a grain of salt. If you go to our website and you decide to message us on brownprivateinvestigations.com, which will all be listed down below into the links. And we also have a Facebook, Brown Private Investigations, on Facebook. If you decide to message us on the website, it will send an email to my email. So don't even worry about that. It will send me a contact form for you guys. Just put your name, your phone number, and a little detailed message in there about your inquiry. What you're looking for, what you need help with, and we'll help you out as soon as we can. And please be mindful, it's just me. So, when you get these things, it's going to take me a minute to reply back, okay? Because I have a million and one things going on, you know what I'm saying? And that's not even half of it. Like, I got so much stuff. So, you know, God bless you guys. You know, I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen and hear what I have to say. But I thought this was important to bring up. And I encourage those team members who have been going through a hard time. I encourage you to continue to do the right thing, go down the right path, because, you know, it's like my good friend Larry Kay says, do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing to do. And I tell you, in life, sometimes the right thing is the hardest thing to do, even in our past. I promise you that. So we'll see you guys later. I appreciate you for tapping in. If you guys have questions, you have comments, you have concerns, shoot them my way. If they're going to be ugly, nasty comments, I don't really care. Don't post them, because I'm not going to listen to them. Okay? I don't have time for your nonsense. Okay? You know, treat people the way you want to be treated. I haven't said anything bad about anybody here, other than more or less Jared Lysick lying about things, okay, and lying to the team. But that's actually proof. I have proof. I looked up the proof. Even though you can see it, I looked it up. I told you numbers, okay? So I didn't lie. I didn't speculate. I gave you proof and evidence of what occurred. So just all I'm saying is, I don't like bad comments. I don't want to hear bad comments. I don't need you trying to attack me, because I don't care. But if you have something positive, informational, say it. And if you do say something bad, tell me why you're saying it. Why are you saying it? Why do you hate it? Why don't you like it? I don't know unless you tell me. You know, making a complaint is one thing, but why are you making the complaint? Okay? Do you feel like you're a diehard fan, you love them, and you just can't see past that? Okay, well, I don't know what to tell you. People don't really know people. That's what I'll say. From doing my career field and my personal and professional experience, people don't really know people. Just like I said, take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe. You know, hit me up with questions. Hit me up with cases, man. If you got something going on, you're not sure, you want a license plate run, we do that. You know, you got a domestic infidelity case going on, call me. Love to hear from you guys. But anyways, we'll see you on the next one. Check out our next video. I'm sorry this is so long. It's just meant to be informational, okay? See you guys later.